Former President Barack Obama is getting involved again, trying to help the Democratic Party emerge from the ashes. And it isn't pretty. Obama called out wealthy progressives, saying they have been cruising comfortably in Aspen and the Hamptons. He says things could change quickly, and it's time for a hardcore gut check.
You could still hang out in, Aspen and Milan and travel and have a house in the Hamptons and still think of yourself as a progressive. And now things are a little different. All of us are going to be tested in some way. And we are going to have to then decide what our commitments are. Sometimes I feel as if during my presidency, I think a lot of people felt comfortable in their righteousness because they didn't have to test it. And now you have to test it a little bit more.
Professor Obama. Power panel, Mark Thiessen, former White House speechwriter and Fox News contributor, and Patrick Murphy, former Pennsylvania Democratic congressman, and he served the great military. We appreciate that. So, Mark, I don't know, do they want a lecture from Obama on the left?
If you want a path out of the political wilderness, the last person you should follow is Barack Obama. So Barack Obama's presidency was the moment that the Democratic Party abandoned Clintonian centrism for left-wing radical politics. And it was a disaster for the Democratic Party. I actually went back and looked at the numbers, Harris. During Barack Obama's 8 years in office, Democrats lost 1,027 elected offices across the country. They started out his presidency with a 60-vote filibuster-proof majority in the Senate and a 257-vote majority in the House. They lost 12 Senate seats and 63 House seats, thanks to Obama. At the state level, they lost 939 state legislative seats and 12 governorships. And, of course, the final verdict of the American people on the Obama presidency was they elected Donald Trump, and they did it with 8.3 million people who voted for Obama and switched their votes to Donald Trump. So this is not somebody who you want to be leading you out of the political wilderness, because he led them into it.
Mark Thiessen coming with the facts, the receipts, the whole thing. Patrick, your rebuttal.
He's coming with the facts, but he's talking about electoral politics. And, Harris, what I like to talk about is Barack Obama was one of the most successful presidents we had. Why?
Wait. So he's talking about the actual politics of winning, and you want to talk about the man's personality.
Yeah, no, that's not true. I want to talk about what the points that he brought up border. I want to talk about how he brought bin Laden to justice because he tripled the amount of forces in Afghanistan while he ended the war in Iraq. I want to talk about Obamacare, otherwise known as the Affordable Health Care Act, which covered tens of millions of more Americans. Hey, Mark, I didn't interrupt you, brother. Don't interrupt me, please.
Sorry.
Right? So,
apologies. Go ahead.
I got you. But that's what I want to talk about, is that what he is saying is true. That, Harris, my mother was a Catholic nun. She reminds my brother, sister, and I all the time, God gave us 2 ears, but only one mouth for a reason. We have to listen more than we speak. What he is saying to people is, stop being righteous. Listen to people. Engage them. Don't act like you know everything. And that's what we need right now in American politics.
I also heard him say that change your zip code if you're going to talk to the masses. Like, you might not be able to use a megaphone from the Hamptons. Says a man who, I know their house is for sale, but he still has one on Martha's Vineyard at this point, so I don't know. Anyway, the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday is backing Tennessee's ban on gender procedures and medications for minor children. But instead of reporting on the actual decision, which matters across the country, the legacy and liberal media chose a side again. And they're sticking to it. Major outlets pushing panic. The Washington Post writes a polarizing national issue the Trump administration has seized on in initiatives targeting transgender rights. The Associated Press calling it a huge setback for transgender rights. And NBC joining the chorus saying the Supreme Court is delivering a major blow to transgender rights. I see a little bit of a drumbeat, perhaps the same talking points writer. Mark.
Exactly. I mean, look, this is a perfect example of what's wrong with the left today. Is the Democrats keep putting themselves on the wrong side of 80-20 issues. So the Supreme Court basically just said you can't mutilate underage children. The states can ban that, and they're losing their minds over it. This is the Democratic Party. They're opposing efforts to deport criminal aliens. They're storming ICE facilities. They're storming press conferences. They're supporting women, men playing in women's sports. They're on the wrong side of all these issues. And the idea, and the reason why people elected Donald Trump is because they want to restore common sense. It's common sense that you don't mutilate underage children. It's common sense that you don't allow men to play in women's sports. And we're now having a revolution of common sense in the country, and the Supreme Court just affirmed it.
All right, debate. Go ahead, your side now, Patrick.
I don't agree with his premise, but we'll just take it as the decision yesterday by the Supreme Court, and I read John Roberts, the Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice thing. He's basically saying, hey, listen, we obviously allow minors in America. We don't allow them to drink beer. We don't allow them to carry guns. We don't allow them, we even give them a curfew. This is very limited, saying, listen, you can't take puberty blockers. Mark, nobody is for mutilating people. I mean, come on, brother, come on. What they're saying is, yes.
That's what puberty blockers are for minors.
Again, I know you love
literally what it is.
But please don't do it. I didn't do it to you, okay? All I'm saying is this, is that our Constitution says we are all created equal. But again, there's limits on that. And there's limits when you're a child that you can't take puberty blockers until you become of age of 18. And that's all it was saying. And Chief Justice Roberts was saying in a 6-3 decision, hey, listen, we don't have all the answers here, but states do have a right under the 10th Amendment to give certain restrictions, including to minors who want to get puberty blockers because they are. So there you go.
All right,
God
Murphy's got a
you
mansplain to the left now, because I don't think that's how they're hearing it.
I think they're more upset, Harris, about the fact that we might be going into war against Iran without congressional approval, and the fact that gas and
I know
groceries
that's why
are
you're
up.
upset. I don't know if you can speak for the left, if they're really that tuned in on the, and not just waiting for the president to make his decision, which we all should do.
And that's why we got to listen more than we speak.
Okay. Good to see you both. Great debate. Thank you.
All right, joining me now is half of the Ruthless crew, Michael Duncan and John Ashbrook. Duncan, I'm trying to figure, what is Obama saying? Is he saying give me money? Is he saying give money to the DNC, like lighten the wallet a little bit on your way to Milan?
Well, I think what he's saying is that him, as Barack Obama, would like you to pay the indulgences to the Democratic Party as a progressive. So you don't have to feel bad about being rich in this country. You just pay that indulgence to the Democratic Party, and that makes you a progressive.
And you have to ask yourself, why is Obama tailoring this message to rich people? The simple answer is the fact that most rich people in this country are Democrats. They live on the East Coast. They live on the West Coast. They don't care at all about everybody in flyover country, people who on Friday night look forward to going to Olive Garden for a family dinner. They look down on normal people, and they always have. This is the party of people who fly private jets and then tell the rest of us, oh, you're not allowed to cut your grass in the summer. You're not allowed to clean up your leaves in the fall because that's bad for the environment, and you need to make up for the rest of us who are flying private jets.
Yeah, and Will, how about Ruffalo? How about Ruffalo there? Who would have thought that the Incredible Hulk would be green with envy? Right. Talking about how these these billionaires are bad for America. I mean, he's worth like $90 million, Will. I mean, if he wants to do his part, I'm sure the IRS takes check or cash.
Right. And what caught my attention is the costume he was wearing. It's very like a rumpled coat and T-shirt and hat that doesn't fit right, to try to make it look like he's a normal person just out there pushing the message for regular people. These Hollywood guys are all the same, and it is bad news.
Well, to your point, Duncan, I will say this. It is said that there's no greater hatred than that of the merely rich to the truly wealthy. And so his $90 million certainly entitles him to some real envy towards the truly rich. But I should also say my apologies to Mark Ruffalo. As a fellow guy who wears makeup, who am I to call you out, even without Botox? I'm sitting here today covered in makeup. All right, Michael, John, good to see you. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like a liberal groundhog, Obama's popping up to warn us about how Trump's turning into a dictator.
We start drifting into something that is not consistent with American democracy. It is consistent with autocracies. We're not there yet completely, but I think that we are dangerously close to normalizing behavior like that.
Dana, he sounds so smart. I heard you, the moment he started talking, you let out the longest sigh, because you know there are going to be pauses, and he's going to
takes a long time. You
Yeah,
can't
he's going to
speed
know
it up.
that you're weighing on his words.
So one of the things is he comes out when the party's having problems, right? So all of a sudden now Biden is in trouble. Now he's out and about. And he was talking about populists. It was basically making fun of rich people in the Hamptons. I'm like, sir, have you seen your house on Martha's Vineyard? I don't think that's very far away from that. It's a little late to be browbeating rich liberals, right? So I think that we did the earlier block where you used to have all of these donors are like, I don't want to donate to this party. The other thing is, what was lacking in that? I know people like him for so many reasons, and they can turn to him as like he's the wise elder statesman now. It must be hard to be the wise elder statesman and be like, wow, I'm the last great Democrat. But there's no energy.
No.
And I think that is why I sighed.
Yeah, you definitely sighed. It was obvious. You could hear that across town. Paul, is it helping the party to tell them to return to the rhetoric that helped them lose in 2024, like the dictator kind of stuff? It doesn't work on half the country. It's not going to get any better.
I don't think they have answers. You know, and is it me? He's looking banged up.
Yeah, he's been having
it's the first time. It's something I've never seen with him. He looks scared.
Yeah, he needs to.
Right, and which is something you don't associate with him. And I think that one of the things that's going on here is he feels it's slipping away. All right. I mean, if you look down, I mean, we didn't get it in that clip, but he talked about the things that he wants to strengthen, the people he wants to rise up. Right. First of all, he name-checked lawyers. So to me, that was a dog whistle to lawfare. All right, we've seen plenty of that. He's telling the lawyers, rise up, come up the works. Then he said universities. Now, what are the two universities that he's associated with? As an undergrad, Columbia, law school, Harvard. What's been going on in those two? The culture wars are going there. He feels that's slipping away as well. But the other one is DOJ. And this felt the most insidious to me. He said, DOJ, you have to listen to your better angels, one of these euphemisms. In other words, take the prosecutorial discretion away from the executive, which is Donald Trump, and make the cases you want to make. Don't make the cases that they're telling you to make. And I go back to one of the things we were talking about earlier. I think that they're a little concerned about some of the rocks that are going to be turned over here. I think that the current iteration of DOJ has made it very clear they're going to be looking backwards as well as forwards. And he knows that that's where the power resides in this country to make these cases. And it felt to me like he feels it slipping away a little bit. For the first time, I think a guy who's heard a lot of yes in his life is experiencing a bunch of no's.
You know, Jesse, you wanted me to ask you, you said you had some breaking news about the birth certificate.
Yes, we now know the long form's fake. And we're doing that at 8.
Oh, excellent. Whole hour on it.
How was your hour last night on Karen Reed, by the way?
Oh, it flew by. I got to tell you,
bet
man.
it did.
Yeah. We had ice cream.
I know why he's scared. I think Michelle's giving him a little Brigitte Macron. Watching him with his legs crossed, emasculated after the Michelle Obama podcast, it's like, come on. I could act smart if I wanted to. I could sound really smart. I choose not to. I just choose to act honest. That didn't sound very good. But this guy gave birth to Joe Biden, then he gave us the coup, and then he gave us Iran, armed to the teeth. I mean, Trump's dealing with all the problems. Medicare out of control. We're fixing all the problems that he started. Jessica.
Simpson Bowles.
Jessica, if Trump derangement were a drug, it's like an old friend visiting the party and saying, forget drying out, let's go on a bender. Why don't you just get him off the drug?
I haven't been dosing Barack personally anymore, and I didn't know what he was going to say. But this is definitely not the forum that I wanted or would want him to show up in. Like, I want Barack Obama from the Court of Gold documentary where he's talking to Anthony Edwards and Steph Curry about basketball. I want him talking about his music list.
Racist much?
No, it was the Olympics.
Oh, it has to be about basketball.
They're basketball players. They're NBA players. What?
Disgusting.
Stop now.
Don't. It was a good point. He is one of the only luminary figures in the party who can actually be chill and hang out. So go on Joe Rogan and go on Theo Vaughn.
Why
and
doesn't
they
he
will,
do it?
Well, he should, because they'll love him. They change their opinions depending on who's sitting with them anyway.
You're right.
Thank you.
For once.
Take it back. Though I like that you admitted you're a moron again.
Did I?
Yeah, you did last week.
It's like a romantic comedy. All right. Is AI making us dumber? Jesse says, what's AI?
Most of the registered voters surveyed in the latest Fox News poll say the Biden White House was not being honest and transparent about the president's mental health. 68% feel that way, 29% disagree. 52% of Democrats agree with that assessment, 81% of Republicans and 75% of independents feel that way as well. 52% of registered voters feel it is important to investigate the Biden administration's use of the auto pen. Half think Congress should investigate who was making key decisions. 44% favor a probe into whether the president's decline was being covered up. We have new information tonight about the state of the Democratic Party. One report says officials may have to borrow money just to stay afloat. Big donors are pulling back, and party leadership is under growing pressure. Here's correspondent Mark Meredith.
Democratic Party Chairman Ken Martin has only had his job for 4 months, but party insiders tell the New York Times his tenure is creating chaos and a cash crunch. The Times writing the DNC's financial situation has grown so bleak that top officials have discussed whether they might need to borrow money this year to keep paying the bills. Martin admits donors are frustrated after last November's big losses, yet Democratic strategists tell Fox it's not all doom and gloom. Today, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett told The View she believes her party's next leader may be an outsider.
If we, the people, say we are the donor class,
that's right,
then we can make anything happen with our $5 and $10.
Yes. Barack Obama.
This week, former President Obama reemerged, telling a Connecticut crowd progressives must stay in the fight.
We are going to have to then decide what our commitments are. It will be uncomfortable for a time.
New York City mayoral candidate Brad Lander seemed to want to pick a fight over immigration as he was arrested this week for allegedly assaulting law enforcement officers who were trying to detain a migrant. So far, no charges have been filed.
I have questions for the secretary.
The incident coming a week after California Senator Alex Padilla was detained for interrupting Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's news conference in Los Angeles.
Hands behind your back. Get on my hands.
Senator Padilla and other Democrats quickly moved to fundraise off the moment. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is also urging Democrats to speak out. This weekend, he's touring the South. He'll be making stops in Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma, encouraging voters to revolt against the Trump administration. Brett.
Mark, thank you.
Outkick.com founder Clay Travis. So, Clay, they want Barack Obama to get arrested by ICE and, chuck Molotov cocktails at him.
Jesse, here's a question, and I would love to hear Barack Obama answer this. He's a sports fan. He coached his daughters in basketball while he was president of the United States. I think a lot of dads and certainly a lot of moms respect that. I've coached my kids in virtually every sport at some point in time as I've been raising them. Why has Barack Obama never come out, if he cares so much about speaking truth, and said, hey, men who pretend to identify as women should not be able to win women's championships? He doesn't ever have to run for office again. Gavin Newsom came out and tried to say it. If they want Barack Obama to bring some sanity back to the Democrat Party, you have to start by saying things that he 100% believes, but that he's afraid to say. 2008 Obama and 2012 Obama would have never said that men pretending to be women can be champions when he was coaching his little league girls in basketball.
He's scared of his wife. He's the typical I'm scared of my wife kind of guy.
Hey, to be fair, a lot of men watching this program right now are afraid of their wives. So, I'll give him a little bit of a pass.
Yeah, but they're also not married to Michelle Obama. And she can be scary.
I do think,
and he's admitted she's scary.
I do think when you are trying to lecture America on talking and speaking the truth, and you aren't willing to acknowledge blatant lies being spread by your party, you are actually contributing to the arena of misinformation and disinformation. Here's the other thing, Jesse, that I think Obama is starting to grapple with. Donald Trump has replaced him as the most consequential politician of the 21st century.
Yes.
And I don't think he's really come to grips with that yet, Jesse. From the moment that Trump came down that escalator in 2015, all the way through this term, he's going to dominate the first quarter century of this era, of this 100 years. And I think Obama thought he was going to be the star of the 21st century, And instead, Trump is, and I think it bothers him. I think he cares a great deal about his legacy.
Right, and his legacy is in tatters, and now his legacy is getting cleaned up in the Middle East again. All right, Clay Travis, good to see you. Scared of his wife, Clay Travis. A smart man, I guess.
Only some of the time.
I'll talk to you later.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.